Happy Sunday, y'all. Just wanted to let you know, be appreciative of what you have. Yes, it is another one of these. I kind of want to make this a Sunday thing just because people are like, really in more susceptible moods to listen because they might be off, they might be chilling, they might be hanging out, they might need this message. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I'm trying to tell you this right now. You got to be appreciative of what you have, especially if you have nothing, especially if you have something. Because do you ever think about, I'm not sure if you ever thought about this, but this is the type of stuff I'd be thinking about. I think about when I was on the bus, wishing I had a car, right? I'm talking about on the bus. I remember like one of the most distinct remembrances of being on the bus was I get to the bus stop, I'm wearing my best fit, right? New shoes, they were suede and stuff, and like had these nice dark jeans with like this shirt, bro. Like I had a really dope outfit, bro. The drip was on drip mode right there. So I was like, you know what? Let's go. I'm gonna go out somewhere. So I head to the bus stop. And I swear, I'm not even there for 2 minutes and it starts raining. And I'm not talking about a little bit of rain. I'm talking about torrential downpour. Is that how you say torrential? I don't know. But the downpour was crazy. I'm talking about my new shoes. And like a lot of these bus stops usually have like an overhang, especially if it rains and stuff. This was just a pole right here with a little sign out there saying that this is the bus stop. And that was it. There was no... I would have had to walk another 10 minutes down the street just to get back to the house, but I had to go to this place. So I was like, yo, like, let's go. And I'm sitting there now getting rained on. I'm just not sitting there because I'm standing there. There's no seat. I'm just standing there with just getting rained on. 20 minutes later, the bus finally shows up. So the bus I was supposed to catch, I didn't realize, but I had just missed the bus. It came early. Then when I got there, thinking it was going to be there in the next 5 minutes, I'm sitting there getting rained on, and I'm like, wow, and this is before all this internet stuff being on the phone. I mean, yeah, sure, you had a phone, but it didn't have the internet, like, to show me, go to www.thebusstop.com, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have anything to go look at, you know? So, I'm just getting rained on. By the time I finally get on the bus, I just look down at my suede shoes and they're ruined. You're not supposed to get suede wet like that. So at first it looks fine. But when your shoes are now dry, they become like this they're just stained. They look like they have water damage. They look bad. And they were never the same. They were never the same. And yeah, I spent $80 on those shoes. I loved them so much. And then this was whenever people were still wearing Timbs. They weren't Timbs. They were still wearing Timberland boots, and Echo had made, not a Timberland boot, but Echo had made a similar shoe to try and fit the narrative of everybody wearing these suede shoes, basically. And I was like, those are the ones I bought. And I loved them so much. And they got rained on not even a week after buying them. So yeah, that's what happened. So I think of times like that. Like right now, if it were to rain, I'm inside of a car. It could rain hard. It could rain bad. I'm still inside of a car. I'm not getting wet. I'm dry. Everything's fine, right? When you're at a bus stop, do you ever think about like what it would be like to have a car? Of course you do. When you're in your own car, do you feel like you ever think about what it was like to be at a bus stop? A lot of the times you don't. And I definitely am guilty of that myself. I don't think about it too often. But I do think about it because I got to take a step back. Like when I'm struggling with life, or I feel like I'm not doing as well as I could, or I was doing as well as I should, or whatever, that's what I think about. It's like, well, okay, what was I doing a year ago? Okay, well, year ago I had this car, I had this house, okay, and do I still have these things? Yes. Okay, perfect. Let's rewind 5 years before. Okay, I was in a two-bedroom apartment. My son was just born. And it was the pandemic. Okay, what kind of car were you driving then? A Honda Civic, right? Honda Civic. Okay. Did it suck? Yes, because it was it was a small car, super small. It's too small for everything. How many cars did you own? 1. How many cars do you own today? 3. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like you think about these things and you realize that wow, I am doing a lot better than I give myself credit for. So make sure you think about the times where you weren't doing so well, when you are enjoying the times that you're doing now, and you feel like you want more and you want more, when things to happen fast, and how come I'm always failing, and yada, yada, yada. Now, I want to also speak to the people who don't have a car, because I'm sure not everybody has a car, right? And they may be going through it as of right now. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was living in an apartment by myself, and my mom was paying my rent. And this is the only apartment I ever got evicted from, like as in like for non-payment of rent, because she was paying my rent, but there was times where I needed to pay the rent too. Like I had, like, obviously I'm living there. I was there for almost a year. I needed to pay the rent. So the majority of the time I was paying the rent, but there was X amount of time where I couldn't pay the rent and she was paying the rent. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to apply to jobs. I just need something, man. Like, I just need something. So I go across the street and there's McDonald's. I've never worked any type of fast food in my entire life ever. So I was like, you know what? It might be time, you know? So I walk into there and I asked if they're hiring. They're like, yeah, we're hiring. We need people, like, bad type stuff. All you gotta do is fill out an application. We'll do a quick interview real quick. And then they have this little survey that they want you to basically go. It's like a personality test, basically. And so I'm filling out all the paperwork. I did the personality test, and she's like, it should be about a week, but everything will come back, and then we'll go from there about scheduling. Okay, week blows by. I go over there and talk to them and say, hey, is it ready? No. The next day, I went there for 2.5 weeks, and at the end of 2.5 weeks, guess what they told me? Sorry, man, we don't have enough hours for you. I was like, I can start with temporary work. Like, I can start with 10, 15 hours. Yeah, but it's not going to be enough for you. I know I came in for full time, but I can start there. You can show me, I can show you how good I am, and I could just go from there, and like we can get more hours later. Yeah, but I just don't want it to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem. No, it's just we're not going to do it. I was heartbroken. Not because I didn't get the job at McDonald's. I thought at that exact moment that I was not even good enough to work at McDonald's. I went home and cried, bro. Like, cried. And like, it hurt so bad. Like, I was just like, dude, so bad. It hurt so bad. And I was sitting there just crying. And right then and there, I'm not sure if you guys believe, but I believe, God spoke to me and was like, no, you're better than that job. You have more to go off and do. You have more things to accomplish. Give it some time. Be patient. Things of that nature. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to tell you exactly what was said, but a roundabout of that is what was said. And I was like, wow. And instantly I felt joy. So I'm going to tell you this right now. That was at 24 years old when that happened. Less than 2 years later, I was on unemployment at this time too. I got a job for a little bit and then got fired, and then I got unemployment. I didn't even know unemployment existed. This was when Obama was president, and he was just extending all of it. So if you're on unemployment, you just like, they kept giving you money. I was on unemployment for the next 2 years. And during this time, I had four warrants out for my arrest. I had three warrants for not going to court. Basically, I get pulled over and get a ticket and then don't go to court. And the other one was a felony warrant for broccoli. There you go. Code name broccoli. Because in our state, in Arizona, at that time, this much, any amount was a usable amount in Arizona. So having even this much broccoli is exactly how much I even had. And I went to jail. And then I get out. They give me the court date. I go inside, go to the courts. They say, hey, your case has been dismissed. We have X amount of time to bring it back, and we'll contact you in this amount of time if anything's going to happen. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I beat it somehow magically. God just looked out for me, right? You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there like thinking that this is the real thing. I'm like, yes. And I ended up moving from the house I moved, and then not even 2 weeks after moving, that letter saying exactly to come back to court came to that house, which I didn't live at. And so later on down the road, I found out I have a felony warrant when I applied for Walmart, and they didn't hire me because of my background checks that I had a felony warrant. That's how I knew right then and there. That's how I found out about that last warrant, because the other warrants didn't matter. Those are just tickets. But felony warrant, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. So I have 4 warrants for my arrest. And I just, one day, I woke up and said, you know what? I'm just going to go turn myself in. And we'll go from there. I didn't even pay rent yet, bro. That's what was crazy. So I turned myself in, which was, it was in like November or something like that. It was like November 5th. I didn't even pay rent yet. I was in there for 2.5 weeks going through all these warrants. So, right? So the first warrant, she was like, oh, you turned yourself in for it. So I have 4 warrants for my arrest. 2 from Phoenix, 1 from Tempe, and 1 from Scottsdale. So the ones I turned myself in for was the ones in Phoenix, because I knew exactly where that court was. I didn't know where else to go, right? So I just went there. So I got arrested. They told me, hey, not time served, but they said, hey, we're going to go ahead and let you out in your own recognizance. You just come back to the court date. She realized I had 2. She said, all right, cool, you're going to come to court still? You said, yes. Cool, she let me go. Then I had a hold on it from Scottsdale. Scottsdale came and picked me up, and they're like, no, we're not gonna allow you to just get out. We're gonna hold you. And I'm telling them, like, bro, I turned myself in, yada yada yada. She's like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna hold you for this. So I got a hold for 2.5 weeks. Then I got transported back to court, and then they said time served. Right when I heard the word time served, I went to like the holding cell to go to back to the original jail, because Tempe had put a hold on me as well. I talked to a guy and he said, "What happened in there?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, they told me I did time served. I spent 2.5 weeks over here." He's like, "You know what? The good thing about that is it all run concurrent." I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "They'll run together. They'll like." So I was like, "How many?" He's like, "How many charges you got?" I was like, "Well, I had 4 warrants." He's like, "All 4 of those warrants will be as one, and they'll all be time served." No one tells you this stuff. Nobody tells you this stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. So now Tempe comes and picks me up late at night. I'm there till the morning, talk to the judge. He looks me dead in my face and says, hey, this thing is so old. Like, you know what? Just go over there and sit down. Time served. Boom. I was like, oh my God. So I had 2 of them, 2 out of the 4 time served. Now, obviously they couldn't time serve me for the broccoli possession, because that's not, that you can't do that. But the warrant will be quashed. So I'm excited. I was like, wow, that's crazy. So then I get the last warrant, and that's the Phoenix one, right? I get back to the court, and I get to the downtown court, and go to court, and they're like, yes, cool, time served. I was like, oh my gosh. So I went from owing almost $5,000 to less than $1,500 because I turned myself in. Now, nowadays, like shortly after I did that, the concurrent thing is no longer here in Arizona, so there is no running concurrent. But at that time, there was running concurrent. So now I'm going from there off. I still had that one last court date to go to, which is North Phoenix, not the downtown Phoenix court. But it's not till a week later. It's not till like later. Oh no, my bad. Okay, so rewind. So while I was in jail, one of my court dates had come up, which is North Phoenix, had came up, but they didn't let me out. So I had another warrant for my arrest. Then I get caught at a party, and the cops get called because it's a party, and yada yada yada, all this stuff. And guess what? The party gets shut down. They start pulling IDs. I'm one of the guys that they pulled for the ID, and they got me. So they arrested me for that warrant right there, because so I missed my court date again after they just let me free, and said own recognizance. That court date came up while I was in jail, so they didn't let me go to the court date. So I obviously missed it. So it had a warrant back out for my arrest. I'm just telling you so you're not getting lost in the story, because I kind of forgot that part. So I'm like, wow. And in jail, like, okay, if you're going to go overnight, you're always going to be, it's a minimum of 12 hours. It was so not busy in this jail that I was literally out of that jail cell in 8.5 hours. In and out. In and out. I was like, wow. Even my friend was like, wow. Because I went in like, actually, no, it might have been like 6 or 7 hours, because I went in at like 1:30 in the morning and then got out around like 7 or 8 in the morning, somewhere around there. So yeah, I think it was at 7:30 in the morning, because that's when they started releasing from that jail. So yeah. So now I'm out. So before that though, I had to see the judge, and she was like, "We're gonna hold you." I was like, "Hey, I was incarcerated during that time." She looked at my file. Boom, it was good. So the court day got set up again. I go to the court day, which is up in North Phoenix. I talk to the person, and the person's like, "Hey, you have 3 options. Either A, you're going to take the charge and get suspended for 6 months, or B, you're going to have to pay X amount of dollars, or C, some other diversion program, whatever." I was like, or D, time served, running concurrent. And I had to explain to her exactly how that is running concurrent. She explained it to the judge. Judge looked me dead in my face and said, "Am I ever going to see you back in my court?" I was like, "Nope." And since that day, I have not seen that lady back in court. So I kept my word to her, and she at least helped me out during that time. So now this is a time, because I had a suspended license from 19 years old all the way to 24. All of this, suspended license, just driving illegally all day, every day, and getting caught for these things. And that's how everything happened, right? Now this is really a whole story. There's so much more I could cover in this section. But just leaving it at that point, I knew that once I got my license back, I would have a car. Because every time I had a license, I always had a car. So I got my license back from because I owed less than $1,500. My mom actually helped me. She actually split it with me. She's like, "If you pay $100, I'll pay $200. Whatever you pay, I'll match plus some." Cool. So we paid it off together, mainly her, obviously. Thank you, Mom. And so I know for facts that someone's gonna watch this and be like, "Dude, I don't got a mom that would help me out and do that. I don't got a dad that helped me out and do that. I don't got nobody." And I totally get it. Everybody's path is different. That's all I can say. Now, regardless of where you're at though, because right now you're watching this. You're not watching this on a flip phone. You're watching this on a smartphone, okay? You're watching this exact video on a smartphone. There's somebody laying on the street right now with no phone at all, sweating to death in Phoenix, Arizona right now. And someone in your town that could be freezing to death or whatever, that's doing worse than you. Because those people ain't got phones. So appreciate what you have. And appreciate the things you've been through. And realize and give yourself credit for what you have accomplished. And if you have not yet accomplished, like me, I've already accomplished going from living off someone's couch to now living in my own house with my own family with 3 cars. This is an imaginary situation at 22, 23, 24 years old. This is something that I would make up in my head and be like, dude, yeah, one day I'm gonna have a house. Like, one day, bro, how am I gonna get a house? I barely have any money. How am I supposed to get a car? I barely have any money. I had no direction in life of where I was gonna be. Did it take some time? Yes. But at the same time, once the ball was rolling, I knew that I could work hard enough to stay ahead of that. That even if I did have to go back and deal with any of this, I could make it through because I've been there before and I've dealt with these things. And if you have not yet done that, you're still on your pathway to accomplishing this. And as long as you don't give up, and as long as you don't just flop out, and as long as you don't cry and sit there, well, you can cry, but I'm saying, like, as long as you don't just sit there and cry and do nothing about it, trust me, you will get there. So appreciate what you have while you have it. You have it here today. You're still breathing. If you were dead right now, you would not be on this phone watching some random guy talk about this, okay? I appreciate you guys, but make sure you appreciate what you have. I appreciate all 10 of you. I appreciate all the new subscribers, all the new commenters, all the new people who like the post, all the people who just watched it and just swiped away, all the people who stayed for 2 seconds and swiped away. I appreciate every single one of you, because this whole situation was an imaginary situation before. It didn't exist, and it does now. And it can only get better as long as I don't give up. And that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on pushing. I'm like, I got to figure it out. I got a family now. You know what I'm saying? Got to figure it out. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I will respond with a video based off your comment. I do have to do a few comments right now because people did comment on the iPhone video. So I'll go ahead and do that tomorrow. So tomorrow you have 2 videos. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. And I'll see you later. Peace.